Hello everyone, welcome to my video. So today I wanted to talk about the situation someone might find themselves in if they are experiencing abuse from someone. And this could be anybody in someone's life. So day to day, the person is probably worried, about what to expect next. They're also probably worried about what their options are, what their choices are, if they were to seek help. Now, the thing is, when someone is behaving, you know, basically mistreating you, they are very smart about it because they usually try to do this when no one else is around. So that if you say anything, it's your word against theirs. Yes. Another thing they might try to do is triangulate you, which means involve other people. So it might be members of their family, friends, neighbors, anybody who's around who they can convince that they are the one that's in the right and you are the one that's, doing to them what they're doing to you. And what people tend to do is in public they have a certain face and then behind closed doors, they behave in a different way. There's no way you can prove it because you're the only witness to it. Yes. So it's very difficult to think about, what your choices could be. The general advice given on a situation like this all around is to take notes. Yes. Take notes of what is going on, times, dates, and keep a journal because if anything legal happened in the future, then you have this to fall back on and say, this has happened to me on this date, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you need a record to prove a continuous behavior from someone. Yes, this is in regards to dealing with the police, but also with landlords, with anybody else, because without a record of what happened, um, they don't have any evidence to fall back on. Another thing I was thinking of is the person can always make up things, can't they, and write them down. So that's a pitfall as well. And as far as therapy goes, sometimes you might think you need some counselling or something like that, but you can get any type of person as a counsellor. They're just like the regular population. It doesn't mean that you go for help that they're going to be able to help you because sometimes they can be from a different background or somebody that doesn't understand the issue or someone who's never experienced it. So, a person might feel afraid that they're going to sound crazy if they try to explain the situation because sometimes when people are abusing you, they are acting crazy. And just because you talk about it and people don't see it, it's as if people think you're out of your mind. How could you think of such things? But it's the person is describing what's happening to them, and I find that in society, people are very reluctant to believe people when they're going through difficult things because what you have to remember is the abuser is doing the same thing. They're abusing you, but they're telling everybody else around that you are the one that's abusing them. So people, they don't know who to believe. And generally, the abuser gets there first. They've already got this planned because they know at some point they're going to get caught. Yes. So they feel if they get to people first, they will be believed. And I can give you an example that I know of is that when somebody did abuse someone else, it's the abuser that called the police and reversed the complaint and said it was the victim that was abusing them. And because they were the first ones to call the police, they were the ones that were believed and were asked if they wanted to press charges against the victim. So, even though the victim did call the police didn't believe them. So, this is what I'm saying. It's when somebody's in that type of situation, it's very isolating and people can get depressed. So it's very important that you choose if you're going to talk about it and who you're going to talk about it, because sometimes even family members, they might not respect you. Yes, they might tease you about it or mock you, and this goes with friends as well. So I think it's really important as an outlet just for even yourself, just to write out what's going on. Every time something happens, just write it out, because if anything ever did come, from a legal standpoint, then you've got a record, yes? Because I think all the way around, that's the only way to go, because there have been situations where people have gone for counselling that I've heard of, and they didn't really get anywhere because they didn't really gel with the counsellor, and sometimes these services even cost money and people can't afford them. So that may not be the ideal way to go. And sometimes when you go through unique situations, like I said, people may not have experienced them. And I think this society as well, it's very, it's always looking for people to call crazy, sort of, so that it can carry on making money off of people's problems. Yes. So even though a victim may be talking about a situation that's happening to them, they can be labeled as being crazy, as having mental health problems, when it's actually the abuse that's causing the mental health issues. And that person may be normal to begin with, but constantly having to deal with abuse every day. And it can be mental, yes, it doesn't have to be physical. It does take a toll on someone. And I think all in all, at the end of the day, as far as I can see, all you can rely on is your spirit. Yes, you're a good person, you're an honest person, and you can pray about it and ask the angels to direct matters so that you are protected and that you make the right decisions. And I think the most important thing is not to react to abuse, because if you show fear, then it will continue. But if you retaliate, then you could get into trouble. So it's very important to control yourself in these situations. And the only way the abuser is going to rise out of this is because of your reaction. So if you completely ignore it and obviously try to remove yourself from the situation as best as you can, try not to be in the same room as the person, try to stay out of that person's way, don't make eye contact, don't talk to them, ignore them completely. There's a saying, you can ghost someone. So you have to behave as if they're a ghost. They're not there. They're there, but you don't see them. Yes. Do you know what I mean? Yes, you see the ghost sometimes. Or but you've got to another term that's used is grey rocking. You just ignore them like a brick wall. Yeah, you just walk past them and you pretend they're not even there. So you just have to reverse the behavior that they're trying to impact on you. Yes, they're trying to get a reaction. Either way works for them. And I think the key way to get away from this type of thing is obviously try to remove yourself physically first, so you're safe. Mentally, you really got to stop thinking about it, because this is more mental abuse than physical, because you're always worrying about what's going to happen next. You must carry on with your life and find positive things to do, and ignoring them, like I said, yes, because once they're out of your mind, out of your life, and you remove yourself, then you can get away from that. But sometimes in some situations you can't get out of. You may live in a certain area and you can't move. So the best option is to ignore the person. If it's directly within your household, then you can remove yourself. You will have to do that for your own safety, yes. But mentally, if it's other people outside the home, you really have to stop worrying about it. Obviously, research it, get support online, because there are lots of videos. You can get help with online on YouTube as well. But I think ultimately it's you have to help yourself. Yes, because you know the issues, you know yourself, and don't let it make you crazy, and don't think you are going crazy because you're not. And I think this is why writing down helps, because at least you can read it at some point later and look back and think, is that what I was going through? Because um, writing down is also therapy. Yes, it gets it out of your system. You've told someone, you've told a piece of paper, if nothing else. And that could be read by anybody in the future to prove that this is what you were going through at this time. So I know people say, they have choices, but these are tough choices. And I think ultimately you are responsible for your own happiness, and you must look after yourself first, and retain your sanity. And I know it's difficult, but you have to um, try and, if you're in physical danger, get away from the person. But if it's mental, then you've really got to ignore it and keep a record of anything that happens in relation to that person, because it all counts. Yeah, somebody who's watching you, this and that, and write it down. If you feel that you're being watched, write it down. So obviously go on your own experience and not gossip. But these are some ways you can protect yourself. All right. Have a lovely day, and please let me know what you think in the comments as well. Thanks.